Hi everyone, how are you all today? Today we are going to do reading. The sub-skill that we are focusing today is understand relationship within a sentence, between sentences and between paragraphs. Do you all know why is it important to understand a text structure in a reading comprehension? Well, let me tell you all. It is important because it's to identify important information in a text. Secondly, is to be aware of how other textual information relates. And finally, is to identify the structure of a text and able to locate the information needed for successful comprehension. We can use cohesive devices to help us to understand the relationship within a sentence and between sentences. Well, how is it so? Cohesive devices help you carry over a thought from one sentence to another, from one idea to another, or from one paragraph to another with words or phrases. Apart from that, cohesive devices also link your sentences and paragraphs together smoothly so that there are no abrupt jumps or breaks between ideas, and we can have better understanding of the text. Cohesive devices being used to indicate that you have further examples to support your ideas. Cohesive devices may be used in different types of text structure, such as cause and effect, time, place, sequence, or compare and contrast ideas. The cohesive devices that can be used to show cause and effects are because of, the cause of was, as a result, consequently, hence, and for this reason. If you were to use the cohesive devices like first, before, after, over time, next, during, immediately, initially, now, then, and finally, it is to show time. If you were to show places in a text structure, then the cohesive devices that can be used are such as to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, nearby, and etc. Well, if you were to use to show sequence, then you can use the cohesive devices like first, second, third, next, and finally. How about to compare or contrast ideas? Yes, to compare and contrast ideas, you can use like in the previous examples, unlike the previous example, similarly, contrary to, however, or but. And if you were to give examples, then you can use cohesive devices like an example of this is to demonstrate, for example, and such as. Okay, now let's watch a video about finding connections between ideas within a passage by Khan Academy. I hope that by watching this video, we can gain more information about the topic that we are focusing today.
Hello readers, today we're going to talk about making connections. So, I don't mean to brag, but I have at least one friend. I'm kind of a big deal. I have friends at work, friends from the schools I attended, friends in my apartment building in my neighborhood, friends from places I used to live. Each friend is connected to me in some way. Maybe we met in the elevator, or on the train, or at the community garden. In some cases, I introduced my friends, and now they're friends with each other, and even hang out without me. Each friend is connected to me or to each other in a different way, and for a different reason. And just in the way that people can be friends with each other, ideas can be friends with each other too. Understanding how ideas in a text connect to each other and to the topic of the text will help me understand what I'm reading. Good readers make connections between ideas in a text. When I look at a passage, I ask myself, what do all these sentences have in common? How are they connected? Let's explain with a brief passage about building ships. Long ago, shipbuilders used iron nails and bolts because iron was easy to find. They soon learned the disadvantages of using this metal on a boat. Iron quickly rusts and decays, especially near the salty ocean. They switched to using brass, which lasts longer. I want to use this paragraph to describe 3 common ways authors show connections: comparison, cause and effect, and sequence. Comparison. What's the same or different between 2 ideas? So what's similar between brass and iron is one example. We can say, okay, both of these are metals and both were used in shipbuilding. Now what's different between them? Well, iron rusts quickly in the ocean, and it does so faster than brass, right? Brass lasts longer. Now let's talk about cause and effect. How does one event or idea cause another event or idea? Well, what happens when you put a ship with iron bolts into salt water? It rusts and decays. The ocean causes the iron to corrode and rust. So what did shipbuilders do as a result? They switched to using brass. And finally, sequence. What order did things happen in? Now the paragraph begins with long ago and talks about iron before it talks about brass. It then describes how shipbuilders switched to brass, so iron came first in the sequence. So when I read this passage on shipbuilding, even though it is very short, I'm able to make a lot of connections between ideas. Doing this deepened my understanding and helps me to become a better reader. Now, not every sentence or idea is connected to every other sentence or idea. Just like not every single one of my friends is friends with all of my other friends. And that's okay too. Our goal is to think about how those sentences connect to the topic overall. Think about the big picture. Understanding the connections between sentences is one of many ways you can strengthen your skills as a reader. You can learn anything. David out.
Thank you and good luck. Hope to see you again in next lesson.